August the 27th, 2024. And we will begin with Callahan.
Callahan here.
Rodriguez here.
Dennis here.
Frazier here.
McShann here.
Love here.
And we need a motion to excuse Councilmember Gibson because he is in training, and Councilmember Swain is driving elsewhere.
I make a motion to approve it.
All right. And then second by.
Second.
Okay, second by. And we will begin with Councilmember Love.
Love, yes.
Callahan, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
Dennis, yes.
Frazier, yes.
McShann, yes.
Kaznowski, yes.
All righty. And we will have an invocation. We bow our heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, as we come to you tonight, we want to say thank you. Thank you for our health and our strength and all of the blessings that you have bestowed upon us. We thank you for the wonderful council that we have, and we thank you for all of our staff that are just wonderful and doing everything that they can to make our citizens be proud of them, and we are proud of them. And my Heavenly Father, as we go through this meeting tonight, we want to pray for our budget, what we're about to do and how we're going to do it, and we pray that you will be in each other's hearts so that we can make the best decision for our city. And we pray for all of the elected officials over the land and country because they have a hard job, and we know that only they can do good by keeping you in their hearts. In the sweet name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Rise for our pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor
The Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. We do have a public comment tonight, and we want to remind you that our public comments are to 3 minutes. And we want to make for sure that if you go over the 3 minutes, you'll hear a little ding from Esmeralda. No formal action can be taken by the city council on items that are not posted on the agenda. And items requiring a public hearing will allow people to opportunity to speak during the public hearing. That does not require a public comment form. So we have Nicholas Teague to speak to us. You'll state your address.
112 Elmwood Drive, Elgin, Texas. Council members, Mayor Pro Tem, City Manager, audience, thank y'all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. So my name's Nicholas Teague. I am one of the elected commissioners for Bastrop Travis ESD 1. I ran in this most recent election unopposed and assumed office in May of this year. I know there's been some history. I won't comment on that, but what I want to say is we want to work with the city. The new ESD commissioners, I think I speak for all of us when I say we want to work with the city, be here to help in any way that we can. And I thought the best and most appropriate way to do that was to extend an olive branch. I've already spoke to some city council members in passing. Haven't made it here on time, unfortunately, to speak in public comment before. Working on the punctuality aspect of it. But a little bit about myself, and then I'll speak on the agenda item. I've got 17 years in public safety. I know I don't look it. I've got a baby face I've been blessed with. I'm a master firefighter, advanced EMT, intermediate peace officer. I hold a bachelor's degree in fire administration, associates in fire science, as well as 2 other bachelor's and 3 other associate degrees. I've dedicated my life to public safety. And that's why I ran, because I wanted to see improvements for our community. On those improvements, we've tripled the number of firefighters serving this community since May, with another 6 coming on in coming months in October. So that being said, we are now operating at 15 personnel full-time when we were at 5 when I came in. That being said, in accordance with 775 of the Health and Safety Code, we cannot provide ground ambulance transport services because of the proposal with ESD3 it would be considered duplicative, as well as it's not listed in our mission statement, which also 775 forbids. So I wanted to let you all know myself that we want to help, we just can't in that regard. But I will say that we, any of us are willing to offer any advice that we can on the selection of ambulances. And I was going to refrain from commenting on your selection until today. Unfortunately, this morning, my wife was involved in a hit-and-run collision. She had a minor back injury. Vehicle damage was very minor. Your police department did phenomenal, by the way, and I want to commend them for that publicly. I'm really grateful for them. Dispatch dropped the ball, and your police department picked it up, and I am just humbled by that. That being said, Acadian Ambulance took 25 minutes to get here. My wife has high-risk pregnancy. She's 35 years old, type 1 diabetic, has had preeclampsia with both previous pregnancies. She's at 32 and a half weeks, and both of my children had to be delivered in emergency procedures early, one at 34 weeks, one at 35 weeks. So because of the amount of time it took, I'm going to ask that you competitively bid rather than go through a co-op process, if that's what you're doing. Look at other providers. There are numerous other private providers. So thank you for your time.
Just one question we're allowed to ask you. You're saying on the record, representative of the ESD1, that there's not a scenario where we can partner with the ESD1 to provide ambulance service. That's the official position of ESD1?
If, I'm saying on the record,
No, I think it's a yes or no question. Is that what you're saying?
it's not a yes or no, and I'm not going to be baited into answering yes or no, sir. If the new ESD is approved,
Well, that's different. We already know
we
that.
can't.
We already know that.
So we can't in that case. So, and currently, the answer is no, because our mission statement does not provide it. It specifically says fire and first response. Because it's not included in the mission
Well,
statement, we're not allowed
You're
to.
coming here to say something on the record to the council. I'm just trying to get some clarity about it.
And I'm providing it, sir. And I'm happy to speak with any of you. My phone number is 254.
You've already exceeded your time. You're out of order.
Okay.
What's your number?
Okay.
What's your commission debate after you get it?
It's on the floor.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Make sure.
Yes, so we kind of put items typically out of order in the city manager's report, so I didn't know if anybody had any items they wanted to ask me about tonight that aren't agenda specific. If not, we'll just go into the resolution we have under the agenda item relative to authorizing a letter of intent with Acadian Ambulance Service to provide emergency medical services to the city on a temporary basis if we feel like that's necessary. As we've talked about since council voted to, made the decision 2 weeks ago to not place the ESD item on the ballot for city voters and ETJ voters to join the proposed ESD. We've begun, the staff is engaged in a response to that situation and a backup plan, so to speak, as we continue to follow that process and see where it ends up between Bastrop County and the proposed ESD. And so we've engaged Acadian Ambulance Service, who is our current provider through Bastrop County, and I've signed a letter of intent with Acadian Ambulance Service that is the subject matter of this resolution tonight. Typically, the council doesn't approve letters of intent. They're initiated by the staff, and mainly because the section in bold here at the bottom of this page shows that a letter of intent is not a binding obligation on part of either party. It's just an expression of interest in consummating a deal that would be followed up with an actual service agreement. But because there has been some concerns expressed because there's been a little social media hysteria about whether or not the city had a backup plan, whether or not people were going to be left without ambulance service. I felt it was appropriate to move forward with this letter of intent and to engage Acadian Ambulance to provide basically a belt and suspenders situation where at any time the city now wants to execute an agreement with Acadian. This letter of intent just enables the city council to approve and authorize and go on the record as saying we'd be ready to move forward immediately with Acadian on a contract that would be basically a 30-day renewable contract, but it would enable us to assure the public, assure everyone involved that we do have a plan, we do have a backup plan in mind. And although Bastrop County has told us they've not decided whether or not they'll discontinue the services they provide now, this letter of intent puts us in a position to immediately move forward with finalizing this service agreement with a contract that would then come back to the council for formal approval. What the letter of intent anticipates, though, is a significant upgrade in where we're at already. So the first step, as we've talked about already numerous times, the city nor the county supplements the cost for ambulance service in this county. We're basically paying nothing for it, so we get what we pay for right now. Acadian is obviously a very capable company that provides ambulance services for many cities throughout Central Texas, so they're certainly capable of providing the service level we want. But what we get now is what we're paying for. So what this letter of intent, as the council's seen, contemplates that they would provide at least one advanced life support ground unit 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We don't have that now. Or one ground unit 5 days a week. As we get into this issue and there's more consideration given to whatever kind of service, if we go with a private service, it's just another example of public safety is all about having what you can have the level of safety, whatever you're willing to pay for. And so the important thing for people in Elgin, I think, to understand is if we're going to advance our EMS anywhere, if we're going to take any step forward, it's going to cost us money. So this will be the challenge that we'll be working through. What's affordable? What kind of service do we need? But for conversation, educational purposes, I asked Acadian to put together this scenario, and that's what they've done. So as you can see, it's spelled out in the letter of intent. One ALS unit, 24 hours, 7 days a week, costs about $1 million annually. Now remember, this is under a 30-day renewable contract. If we get into longer-term service, then obviously we do an RFP process. We consider proposals from anybody who wants to submit. The staff's already engaged 2 different private providers. We believe that there's at least one more out there that would be interested in that. So once the city's prepared to move forward to considering proposals for a 2, 3, 5-year period, obviously we're going to get a better price than a contract that's 30 days renewable. I would say one of those options that we thought we had moving forward was to work something out with ESD1, but apparently that's not an option available for us. So that's news to us and kind of disappointing to hear that we won't be able to do that, because I personally think that's the most efficient way for the community moving forward, is to find a way to work together with the existing ESD, but apparently that's not an option available to us. But as you can see, and is in the LOI, it just gives you an example if we want more than one unit in town, what that would cost. And it just, again, as we get into this issue and get into it more details, that's really what it's going to come down to. The city decides what kind of service we want, and then that will drive the cost. So by executing this LOI, by having the council vote on it in this manner on the record, it absolutely should eliminate any concern that any citizen has now about the continuation of at least the same service level we have now. And I think it's important to recognize that the EMS service coverage that we have now in Elgin is the same coverage we've had for 8 years or more. So it's not exactly an emergency situation to know that it takes a long time to get an ambulance response. It's been that way for years. And again, it goes back to the main point that this is one of the few counties I've ever heard of that doesn't supplement EMS services to make it affordable for everybody. But that's the situation we're in. But now with this LOI, we have a documentation on the record anybody can see that the council can immediately pull the trigger on. As soon as the council wants us to authorize the contract, we believe we can have this service level on the ground within 30 days. So it's obviously that's a dramatic uptick in where we stand today. And as I said, it clearly, this LOI contemplates even the first step of this short-term preliminary agreement would be a dramatic uptick in the service level that we currently receive. I think an important thing that we've talked about a little bit on the council as we think about moving forward in our progress is the city already owns a land site that's available. It's our property. We have an approved concept plan that's already, we know is compliant for an EMS facility. And those details have already been approved by the city council. As the council knows, we have this land site of 2 acres that's out basically in the middle of where the high school, Eagles Landing, Harvest Ridge Mud is, that's already been conveyed to the city. Staff has already done this preliminary drawing of a concept plan of how a facility, a public safety facility would fit on that site. We already know this already meets all the requirements for that construction. And the city council has already approved this project in the 5-year capital plan. And frankly, it's listed currently as our number 1 unfunded project at the current time. So like everything, the money will be the main issue, cost and how we absorb that. But if the council were ready to move forward, just again to give you a barometer to understand the position we're in, we could have this, we believe we could have, if the council said today, this is our top priority, and we need to get this facility built as fast as we can, we think we could have a new building on the ground by the end of next year. And as we've already talked about, that the ESD, even if it's approved, won't even be close, I don't think, to generate sufficient funds at that point, let alone have a plan for a building and where it could be in Elgin. So when you understand all of that, this issue alone, just having the site, having a plan, already puts us miles ahead of where the ESD will be for some time. So as we move forward, staff is, as I said, have engaged private service providers. We're meeting with those providers and learning from them what different scenarios can work. We'll be convening the council committee that was created to review this issue and discuss all options and details with them, with a plan to have an initial report back to the city council before the November election. And as we talked about last week, the council, we're all in agreement that there be no changes in service. There's no plan to change any service between now and the election, because obviously we need to understand what the county's going to do, what if the ESD is going to be created before we'll be able to understand all the options that are before the city council. So satisfied we're on top of the issue. Acadian is certainly interested in the city's long-term business, but they understand this is simply a short-term short-term emergency engagement that gives us the ability to, at any given time, we feel the need to execute it, we're in a position to do that. At the same time, the deal contemplated under this LOI may never come to be. It just depends on where we find ourselves, but it puts us in, should answer any questions anybody has about whether or not we have a plan and how we're gonna react to that, so. With that, I'd be glad to try to answer any questions or expand further.
Could we get an LOI for other emergency services? Like
Other providers?
Mhm. To,
I guess we could, I don't,
because, I don't know if you've seen my counterpart's message. He was talking about the cost is a lot. That other cities that are bigger than us pay that same amount and they have more.
well, they have long-term contracts.
Right.
This is just a 30-day contract.
So,
My plan is that we're gonna move right on to getting, soliciting proposals from whoever is interested. I'd assume we'd be
Is that what
ready
we're
to
gonna
go.
be doing like now? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, we'll take it to the committee, and the committee will make a recommendation, we'll come back to council, but, when I say we won't be changing services between now and November, but that doesn't mean we can't do all the preparations, or that we can't move forward. I think where we're at now is before we make a request for proposals, we need to understand what that request needs to say, what services we're looking for. Again, this LOI is strictly an emergency situation. And again, the cost is because they have to be here on site in 30 days. It's going to be expensive to have that kind of service. Now, if we have a
Can I ask
longer.
a clarifying question?
Yeah, sure.
I don't understand why we're doing a 30-day contract. Or maybe I'm not saying that right.
Because I don't think we're prepared to make a commitment beyond that. This is strictly to address the, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We now have something in our pocket that says, if the county calls us tomorrow and says, we're cutting off services, we've got an option to go to.
But they still wouldn't cut off services until May.
Yeah.
We don't.
I wouldn't guarantee that.
But
They're
the
not-
Acadian contract is until May of 2025. Even if they were to call today and say we're cutting it off, their contract is, for the county is still until May of 2025.
All the contract does is allow Acadian to work here.
Right, so we'll still have services
There's no
until May of
promise.
2025.
No, there's no promise of that. I- We have a contract with Acadian that says they're allowed to provide services here. They're not committed to providing services here. I thought the whole objective was to make sure the city had a plan to back up. This is what this does.
Right.
This is,
But
I feel like this is a stopgap. If we find ourselves in a situation where we're without,
In the
then this
event.
is
I
a
get that.
stopgap that will take.
It's not me saying this isn't right. I get that. I'm just questioning if we can have other bids or other LOIs. Because this is only one unit. So I don't know if anything was like negotiated. I'm with Chuck on the price too. And then I have spoken to the judge and stuff regarding that. And I was told that even if they were to stop, that services would still be continued until 2025, May of 2025. Yeah, yes, they're allowed to have those services, but I was informed that they will still have services and they will still be committed to service the county, even if they were to cut it off. Again, we still have, I know we have to wait until the ESD vote is done in November. I get that. I understand all of that, and I understand this. Doesn't mean, it's not saying I don't understand it. I do. I'm just questioning, is this possible?
I don't understand your question then.
To have another LOI, to get other bids and stuff.
It's possible, but it's not necessary.
So
We're not bidding it.
Or other LOIs, just other contracts, other agreements, other letters of intent.
Why would we do that?
You just said that if he was to call, that we will automatically pretty much go to Acadian. That's basically what you literally just said.
The current service provider, yes. This, in emergency, would allow us to continue that service.
Right, so that's why I'm
We're-
asking, in that time, is it possible to talk to other ones, other EMS services, to see what they can
Is it
provide?
possible? Yes, anything's possible.
All right, well, is that something that you're gonna do?
No.
Okay, so that you answered that question. Joy, what's your question?
Okay, so,
Wait a minute. We're gonna move right on to bids. If the council wants to bid this service out, we'll do that next week.
You
We're
already
not
said no.
prepared to do it.
Okay. Joy?
The council hasn't, oh, wait a minute.
Well, you
I've got
already
the floor.
You already
I've
answered
got
the question, you
floor.
said no.
I'm not done
So that-
talking.
But that was it, you answered the question. That was it, you said no.
No, I'm not done with my answer. Because I don't think you understand what we're doing here.
Oh,
This is
I
simply,
understand, I get it, I asked a question, you answered it.
I think I was trying to come in to say, I think this is what, to help maybe both y'all understand each other. I think I'm understanding what you're saying. So, I think what everybody's saying is if Bastrop County decided tomorrow to pull the funding, we have a backup plan, right?
Yeah.
30 days.
For 30 days.
No, for 30 days renewable.
Renewable,
Yeah,
yes.
30 days at a time.
Until we
But-
get settled on a contract.
Right.
Right.
But unless they've lost their minds, nobody's doing that.
Right.
That's what.
And if those 30 days do happen, then that's when the committee. that it
Oh,
was set
wait a
up
minute.
will
I
go.
thought there was a big push of, oh my God, what are we gonna do? We don't have any plan. That's what this is.
Okay.
Well, but, okay, so if the vote's gonna happen in November, even if ESD 3 passes, they don't have any money. Nothing happening in November, nothing happened in January, there's nothing happening. So,
Well, I was informed that the county can amend their agenda, so they could actually have funding.
yeah.
They can
well,
amend the budget
Right.
to have funding.
But I'm
not
just
the
saying,
agenda.
like,
Well, they've never explained that. The county's never told us any of the things that they've told you. It's never told the mayor that, never told the city manager. We've
They
not,
didn't tell us
we've
a lot of
not,
stuff,
we've not,
obviously.
we've
But she
never,
went to
rec-
the
While we're
commission
here.
yesterday, she went to the meeting.
well, I'm just saying, the
That's
county,
where she heard that.
county commissioner's not engaged us to share any of that information.
So-
No one's ever challenged anything that was in the manager's report that the council based their decision on. So I don't, that's why we're reacting to this. This is a letter of intent, as I said, as a stopgap measure to put us in a position to say we can act immediately. That doesn't mean we won't continue with the process. But what I'm saying is, a request for proposals requires us to stipulate exactly what kind of services we want. The council hasn't determined that yet. The committee hasn't determined that yet. We can't do an RFP to consider other proposals.
it's not.
We're not gonna execute multiple LOIs. We're gonna do an RFP if we go that route. If it's true that initially my plan was the first step we do is try to work something out with ESD 1. But if we can't do that, then I presume the only step we have left is to go for a private service. The only way we can do that legally is to do an RFP. And we can't do an RFP until the committee reviews it, says what we want, and the council approves that. So all the time that it's gonna take to do that, this provides us with a backup. But going around and getting multiple LOIs won't give us any insight to what that RFP will be. Because it'll be a completely different service, a completely different price. Yeah, there wasn't much negotiating with this. It's somebody saying, here's what it would cost to get this service. We haven't determined what level of service we want. How many ambulances do we think we need? Is one enough? Do we want to pay for 4? Do we need advanced life support? Those are all things that the committee and the council have to decide before we can go on. So I think,
That's
yes,
what I needed. You explained it. You
Okay.
actually explained that deeper in level. That's exactly what I needed.
all right.
All right.
So the other part about the price is I just want to say, I feel comfortable saying this is the top end. This is the highest we pay. That we'll move down from here.
Because there was no negotiation. It was
Well,
just-
Right,
no,
okay.
again, mainly because it is, you gotta show up in 30 days, and we might cut you off at the end of 30 days. So any service you do that with, you're gonna pay a premium
It's
for.
just a continuation of service.
But,
And
but
they're already in place, and it would be just to continue that service until we've
it's,
settled on.
it's like our trash contract. There's a reason why we do that for 5 years. We get a lot better price than if we did it a month at a time. So again, if I didn't make that clear, so this is basically totally emergency situation. We have to do something right now. So it's kind of the worst case scenario, I guess I'm saying.
So you referenced bids. So are you speaking about the RFP process?
Yes.
We're
Yeah,
not
we-
talking about additional bids for more
No,
stopgap
No,
measures?
no, no. This is, no, that's what I mean. That's why I think only one of these agreements is necessary. And because it's with the existing provider, this would be a scenario that, yeah, I agree, it's highly unlikely it's gonna happen. But I don't think it's fair to act like we weren't asked those questions. Oh my God, what are we gonna do? People are gonna die because we don't have EMS, and the city turned it down. So this is a way for us to go on the record and show people we have a plan, we have an extreme plan, backup plan in mind. But even if we executed this, it would just be as long as it would take us to do a full RFP and sign a longer-term contract. Because even the issues about, even our building, if we build the building, are we gonna rent it back? I mean, there's just a lot of details that have to be worked out. And then the other topper on this is, remember, part of that decision that comes later with this cost is, we're only focused on the city of Elgin. And I mean, from a business standpoint, but this leaves the ETJ area unresolved. This leaves parts, depending on what happens to ETJ, or the ESD, what's gonna happen with them. Ideally, the city would create a service and be able to extend that service. But how are they gonna pay for it if we do that? How are they gonna pay their share? So there's just so many variables to be decided that we can't go into a long-term commitment now. But this is all intended to provide some assurance that, like I said, worst case scenario, we have something to fall back on. But yes, I think it's possible that we could have a whole plan ready by the end of the year to go out, to send out the request for proposals. But it's like engineering services or anything. We have to say what we want first, and that takes a lot of clarification on our part. But like I said, we're confident there's at least 3 companies that, well, we've been told by 3 different companies they'd be interested in making a bid or an RFP proposal if we go out there. So that'll come later.
Can,
Did I answer your
can
question?
y'all remind me who's on the committee?
It's Alicia, Forrest, Sue,
And Matthew.
and Matthew.
Okay. I guess my request of y'all, and we talked about this at our ward meeting on Saturday, is can we sit down with everybody in the room?
Is it
You were
for
talking
the-
about when we said the commissioners?
Can we sit down with Travis County, Bastrop County, the school district, the city, and say, here's the situation that we're in, here's the scenarios that could happen as of election day, right? I get concerned about us only making this decision now that we've seen the complication of all of these
Mhm.
overlapping jurisdictions. So that's what, it doesn't mean that I don't even know. I think there's so much he said, she said going on, and so-and-so talked to me, they didn't say this, that, and the other. It's like, can we get everybody in the room so they can all hear the same thing from Travis County, from Bastrop County,
From the
from
school
ESD
district,
one,
yeah.
from City of Elgin, from the school district? Get everybody there to kind of talk about the issue at hand, because this stuff is so complicated, and I just feel like we keep kind of talking about it.
And no one's coming together. She's correct. That is what came
Well,
out the
I'll
board
just
meeting.
say this, out of all those people you named, the city's the only one that's come forward and said, here's what we know.
So let's be a leader.
Okay,
Let's,
and
I
I'm-
mean, I'm not on the
Well,
committee.
and
I'm not trying to
arguing
give
about it,
myself more
but I'm
work,
saying,
but
part of that is, today, I don't think you can sit down with all those people and get many answers. And so part of my sensitivity to it is, I do think we need to take a couple more steps with our own committee before we can start telling people what we know. Because we don't know, just like we're talking about tonight. We don't know which one of these, if you're saying we should share with everybody every possible scenario,
No,
I guess we could do that.
no, I think,
But I think we need to move, my plan is the council would move forward a little bit, where we'd start be able to define what our plan is, and then sure, we could share that with everybody.
I guess I would see it as somebody saying, tell me a little bit about where the county is on this. Have you guys talked about emergency services, right? What are your constraints? Da-da-da-da-da. Al talked about, here's where the school district is. Here's our challenges. City of Elgin, we're in 2 counties, right? Like everybody in the room to just kind of talk about that. Not that we have to go in with a plan of what the city is going to do, but to at least get everybody in the room to talk about, this is a very complicated, discussion.
Oh, you don't, you're not talking about really doing anything, just
Well, I think.
hearing from everybody what their
I mean, I
issues
think
are.
talking is doing something. That
Yeah.
allows us to be informed of what other people are thinking. I mean, where I'm going right now with this thing is I'm thinking, well, if we own land, why would we contract? Why would we not just run our own EMS service, the city, right? That should be one of the options on the table. I'm not saying we should do that, but I'm like, let's throw all the spaghetti at the wall with everybody in the room and have a big old conversation about this.
And to that point where I'm at is we should be planning for that anyway, because we're gonna be there soon enough. And if something else works out where we can contract with somebody else prior to that or whatever, then that's fine. Plan for the worst, expect the best.
Okay, but you're telling me you recognize that's gonna take time.
Oh, yeah, and so, and maybe it's more like a
So
5 or
again-
10-year plan,
So
that we
again,
have our own
this is why,
service.
this action tonight, I think, is important. Because we have a backup plan, that'll take months to have that conversation.
Yeah, and maybe I'm
So-
not the best audience.
So if we're
I
gonna
wasn't
have-
worried about our backup plan, okay? So I think that's maybe where
All right.
some of my confusion is.
Well, that's not the message I got, that we didn't have any plan. And we really didn't, the city didn't have a plan.
I think
But
there's
what
a
we're
general
gonna do.
perception out amongst our citizens that there isn't a plan. I agree with that. You know, realistically, we can have this agreed, but I'm not so naive to assume that everybody would pull out right away. That would be political suicide for several people. But I do think to Joy's point, it's the right thing to do. Plan is if we're gonna eventually have our own department, start put that ball in motion. Still, we have the sit-down meetings with whoever we can get in the room, get at the table, and listen to their constraints. Listen to what they have to have and what they can do without. Just so everybody's on the same page, and then everybody's gonna have to decide from there anyway.
Okay, well, we can certainly do that. Y'all know my focus is frankly exclusively on the city of Elgin. That's what my job is, so.
Yeah, and
So,
I feel, and I completely agree, and I feel like in some ways we're being forced. Like if we don't get everybody in the room, in my opinion, it's a missed opportunity.
Okay,
We can do that.
it won't be hard. I would still say, I think, I guess my plan would be to get the committee together once, and we'll figure this part out.
Well, y'all better get
What-
together at least once.
No, I mean, once
We've
before,
already been together once.
I was like,
Only
let's together once.
once before we do the meeting you're talking about, at
Yeah.
least, that we can be on the same page about how we want that to work. And again, to me, this report is about, here's basically how far the staff's carried it to this point. We need to get the committee together and get their input before we go on to the next step.
I think this is good. I think the citizens need to know that there is an option if everything goes to hell. That's all.
That's really all it is.
And this may never happen. That's the other part of it.
Yeah, and, you know,
it's-
truthfully,
it's
I
there
would
in the
hope,
back
it-
pocket.
I hope it wouldn't. That I'd hope that we'd have all the issues addressed and have a long-term plan in sight before we'd ever have to pull the trigger on this.
Thank you for doing this.
Sure, thanks. So by council approving the resolution, all you're doing is authorizing us to, if the staff feels necessary to go on to the next step of an agreement, then obviously that agreement would have to come back to council before we make, so this LOI includes there's no binding commitment, no financial commitment. It's just a plan that I think will help if the council endorses it.
So do we need a motion?
Yeah.
Mayor, I make a motion that we accept this LOI with all the considerations that have been.
I'll second.
It's been moved in second. We'll begin with Councilmember Dennis.
Forsley, yes.
Fraser, yes.
McShane, yes.
Kaznowski, yes.
Love, yes.
Callahan, yes.
Rodriguez, yes.
All right, motion carries. Okay,
No executive session.
we move on to announcements. and
Okay.
Go there?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm ready.
All right, so there's no executive session, but we're gonna move on to announcements. And Ms. Platt is here to talk to us about cards. Come on up, Dana.
Hey everyone, am I just talking?
Yeah.
Okay, I did have a little PowerPoint, but, so my name's Dana Platt. I'm the Community Engagement Director for CARTS. I've been with them for 12 years, almost 13.
Dana,
And
Dana, can I, just for the record, say, we've asked you to come and speak, so you're not bound by the public comment time limit or anything.
Okay, I'm like, here I go. I'm gonna go really quickly,
Make
like,
that-
don't cut me off, all right.
I want to make that clear for the record.
Yes, and thank you for the opportunity to address council and let you guys know about what we have going on. So we're a rural transportation provider, if you're not familiar with our services. We have different services tailored to the community's needs. Here we have our country bus service that services the rural areas and gets people where they need to go. We also have a commuter route that we partner with Capital Metro on that gets service into Austin early in the morning and comes back late in the evening. And starting on Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, we will be launching our Cards Now service, which is an on-demand service. It runs Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. It works with an app on your phone. You just download the app and it automatically detects your location, and then you set your destination, and it picks you up within 15 minutes. So I have let me grab my map. So basically, the Cards Now on-demand vans, you may have seen them running around town. I know you have seen them. We've been running practice, and the drivers have been training, but it's gonna run within the city limits of Elgin. So anybody can get a ride within 15 minutes, Monday through Friday from 7 to 7. And we do recommend that you download the app, because that way you can really see the van. It shows you when it's coming to your location and how long it'll be till it gets there. But I know that technology is not everyone's friend, so we also have a dedicated phone line in our call center, so people can call directly to our call center to a direct number, and they'll set the ride for them. They're basically using the app, but I tell people to download the app and try to use it, because then you can really see the van and you know when it's coming. But some people just like that confirmation of hearing somebody on the phone saying your ride will be here in 10 minutes or whatever it is. So we're excited about that. It's gonna be free for 90 days, so people can just jump on and ride. 12 and up can ride without the accompany of an adult. So kids can ride it to go to the pool, or they can go to the movies, so parents can, let kids ride the bus. So, I think that's it. After that, it's really affordable. It's gonna be $2 one way, half fare for seniors and persons with disabilities. All of our vans are wheelchair accessible and have ramps.
Dana, let me help you a couple
That's it,
things. So
yes.
one is, I can't remember, is this, you'll take me anywhere, or there's certain drop-off size? Do we do it that way?
So basically,
I know we talked
anyone-
about primary
Yeah, we have
sites.
popular destinations that are set within the app that automatically pop up, like Walmart, HEB, we know that those are like the focal points where people wanna go. But it'll go anywhere within the zone, so you can go anywhere you wanna go, it doesn't have to be, certain destinations. But it does have to be within the zone, like you can't
Okay.
go into Bastrop, but we do have our country bus, so if you wanna go outside of the city limits, or you wanna go to different counties, we have that type of service that's available.
So, tell the story about the elderly lady in Bastrop, the 90-year-old lady.
I know, this is the best story. So I work with Bastrop County Cares. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that organization, and they have several different branches, but they do have a branch called the Owls. It's the Older Wise Leaders. And so one of the ladies, like, she went to a senior's house, and she happens to live in the zone in Bastrop, and she's in her 90s, and she showed her how to use the app. She downloaded it on her phone, and so she uses the service like every day to get around town. She rides it like every single day, and it's really like, to be in your 90s and use technology like that, I just think it's like amazing. It's kind of given her independence. She loves like our drivers, and she feels very comfortable and safe. And we do have the service right now running in Bastrop, Lockhart, Taylor, and in Marble Falls, and it's our most popular service. So in Lockhart, I think we're doing over 130 trips daily. Same in Bastrop, Taylor, over 120, and then Marble Falls is getting up there, but they were our last to adopt it. So I'm really hoping that you guys all share it on social media and follow us. We will be having a ribbon cutting for the event. We're gonna launch next week on Tuesday and let it run for the week, and then we'll do a ribbon cutting at our station here in town before the Sip, Shop, and Stroll at 3:30. So I invite council to come out and, you know,
We'll be
just
and we'll
check
be
out the bands.
promoting it too, and
Yes, I appreciate it.
and
Yeah.
I don't want to out you on the other thing you told us, but you actually, one lady, this would be me, I can't figure out how to get the app on my phone, and
Yeah.
one of your staff actually went to her house, helped her put it on her phone, and
Yeah.
and now she rides it all the time.
Yeah, and
too,
I've done
so-
that too. Like, I've gone to the senior centers, like in Bastrop and different places, and did like little trainings and tried to help them use the technology. Some of them were, you know, wanting to do it, and some of them were like, I'm just gonna call. But, you know, at least we tried, and yeah, it's really easy to do once you get it down.
So you're available to come to Elgin and go to our different little meetings that the senior
Of
citizens
course,
have?
yes, I'm doing the travel club at the library
Okay.
soon. I don't remember what the date was, my calendar's getting full, but we are launching this service same day in Elgin and also in LaGrange, so I've been dual cities.
So do you
But-
have anything like Carts Bucks, where somebody can put money on a card and do that? Or do they have to have $1 to put in the?
We don't have that right now, but I do offer a program to social service and nonprofit agencies. A lot of times they'll get a stipend to help out to get people to their agencies that have transportation barriers. So I offer discounted ticket booklets to social service agencies and nonprofits. But yeah, we sell paper tickets. They can pay with it on the app. They can pay cash on the bus, so all different options.
So if I use the app, y'all would come and like pick me up at my house.
Do you live in the city limits?
I do.
Yeah, so just
Take it to
download the app.
library.
And
I was
take me
gonna
to-
say that's where she's going, to the library.
Sometimes I buy groceries, y'all. But, okay, so then like if I went to HEB, like y'all would drop me off there, I would do my shopping.
Yeah, so it's on demand, so it's not like you call and say, you know, drop me off at this time, pick me up at this
Yeah.
time. You just like get it when you want it.
Got it.
So
like
you
I
get
would do
done
my, I
grocery
would do-
shopping, you're in the checkout line, call them, and it'll be waiting for you.
It's like
Okay.
cards.
It's like
Uber.
an Uber,
Yeah.
yes. I hate to say that, but that's exactly what it's
No, I
like.
mean, I was really excited about this.
Yeah.
So I'm really, I think this is just a really awesome service, and thinking about just so many folks I feel like in our community that could, that could use it, and really exciting to hear the other towns where folks are taking advantage of it.
Yeah, I mean, I just talked to a lady today, she's buying tons of vouchers for like a youth program they're doing for students that are near Shepherd's Heart, and they don't have money to get there, and their organization doesn't have it, so they're gonna buy, vouchers for them to get to and from. So it's been really popular, and it's a really good service, so we're
Yeah.
excited. It's also including ACC in Elgin, so the campus will be included.
Oh, that's really good to know.
And I went and talked to the director last week, and she's very excited about that, so. But I've got flyers and stuff that we're trying to promote around town. I know Amy's been very helpful with getting her volunteers to help me, which I appreciate, because not all other cities have that. So yeah, we're excited, and you guys come out to the ribbon cutting, and if you guys need anything, you can reach out to me. I do have a cool little video that I can share with council that you guys can also share on social media and stuff. It just kind of shows like how the service works and the van picking up people around town and things like that.
Is the call center, do they speak Spanish?
Yeah, we have a language line, so any language.
Oh, perfect.
Did you say the hours of operation?
Monday through Friday from 7 to 7. So no weekend service, but,
That is so cool.
yeah, we're excited, and it's wildly successful in other places. People love it, and our only problem is now we're getting to the point where it's
That's right.
successful. People love it. So it's like, do you add more vans? The wait times are getting a little bit longer, so that's and you know, how do you pay for it? So,
Growth pains.
yes, those are good pains to have, though. I mean, microtransit has really like changed transportation, and that's the way people want to travel. They don't want to wait for a fixed route that may take 30 or an hour, wait times. They want it now, and they can get home before their ice cream melts.
So initially, how many buses will you have
So we will have
here in town?
We'll have one van running, and we'll see how it goes. We'll have a backup for sure, and then we'll add more service as needed.
Have you considered doing ambulance work?
No. But do not sign me up for that conversation.
I went to the last OWLS meeting. I enjoyed it. I
Yeah.
met a lot of people there, and I took some technology stuff to church. And the elders, I call them the seasoned saints,
Yes.
said they were gonna go ahead and get on that
Yes,
technology, because my
yes.
grandma asked me to do her radio all the time. So.
They ate me alive at that senior center. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
ladies. Like,
Yeah.
But it was great, and I just love to hear success stories of people using it like that. I mean, she's in her 90s, and she can leave her house and go wherever she wants. And I do want to say, we're also doing another promotion. We're partnering with the Area Agency on Aging and CAPCOG to provide free rides for seniors 60 and above on our country bus services. So it won't be on the Now service, but it's on our reservation-based service where they can call in advance and they can ride for free. So, and it's not limited to like senior meal sites or medical. It's for anything that they want to, just to get them back out into the communities. And their personal care attendants can ride for free. So 60 and above can use our services. And we have local service Monday through Friday here, so.
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Amy?
Can you top that?
Well, in addition to all that great stuff, carts is the reason you have public restrooms at your amazing new Veterans Park expansion that you get to dedicate on September 7th. So they have always been a tremendous partner for our community, and that's the only announcement I have. Saturday, September 7th, 6 p.m., 200 block of Depot Street. Come early, park remotely, walk if you live in the neighborhood. And we're going to have a fantastic party with all kinds of fun things and a little bit of talking. And I think you're going to be amazed at this fantastic park that we're opening downtown. So that's it, the 7th at 6. And it's a Saturday.
So you remember you said a little bit of talking, so tell him and she, they get 2 minutes.
Together.
Make me
Look
talk
forward to
really
seeing all of you there.
Thanks, Amy.
All right, it is 7:25, and this meeting is adjourned.
So we're going to take a little break, rearrange the room,